Well, I want to ask you a few other things. Let's talk about Michel Legrand for a second. You told me how you met him. I want to talk a little bit about who introduced you to him and what the circumstances were.
Well, when I was a young man, I was a very good tennis player.
I know. You played... I'm surprised you're not even playing right now.
Well, I quit about 3 years ago because I'm 97, you know, because of my balance.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to go falling down on the court.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, you used to go out on celebrity tournaments and play all around. I mean, you were. I've talked to other people, and they say, you know, Alan was a really great tennis player.
Well, I don't know about great, but it was good. Anyway, one day Gene Kelly came to me and said, "I've just finished a movie in Paris with a young composer who I'm going to introduce you to when he comes here next week, because I think you and Marilyn and he could write great songs together." And he introduced us to Michel Legrand.
Oh man, that's quite an introduction coming from Gene Kelly.
Yeah, he's a lovely man.
And Richard Brooks, he directed the happy ending that Whatever You're Doing.
What are you doing the rest of your life?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. That's one of the great songs you wrote. You wrote with Michel, and what there was Brooks wanted you to write a song that could be used in a couple of ways, right?
Yeah, he said, "There's a song I want you to write in this movie. You'll hear we use the song twice. The first time, these two people, young people, are in college, very much in love. They're going to get married, and there's a love montage. And I want a real love song there." He said, but he says, the second time you hear that song, he said, it's 16 years later, they're married, and they have a 15-year-old daughter, but the wife is an alcoholic, and the husband is a workaholic. And there's trouble in River City there. He said, and so she leaves her husband and her 15-year-old girl and goes to a favorite bar. She's never going home again. Goes to a favorite bar, orders some martinis, goes to the jukebox and puts whatever it is in there, and she plays. You hear the same song. You can't change a word, you can't change a note, and it has to mean ironic at that point. Well, the first time you hear this love song, it's "What are you doing the rest of your life?" The second time you hear it, she's left her husband, her child, and you hear, "What are you doing the rest of your life?"
Wow, that was a challenge, and you nailed it. You nailed it, and I think, didn't Michael D sing it in?
He sang it in the movie.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
And he sang it very well. Now, when we finished the song, Barbra Streisand came over for dinner one night, and she said, "What's that at the piano?" "I like the title," she said. I said, "It's a song we just wrote for a picture. Oh, what are you doing the rest of your life?" "Oh, let me hear it." And she said, we sang it to her, and she said, "I want to do that. I want to do it in the movie." And we said, "You can. It has to come from somebody whose voice you don't know. It can't be Frank, can't be Dean Martin, it can't be Tony Bennett, it can't be any of those."
Can't be you.
No, Can't be any of those. She said, I don't believe you. I said, well, put you on the... And I put her on the phone with Richard Brooks, the director, and he told her why. And she said, I understand, but I have to make the first record. And we said, okay. Now, she made the first record, a beautiful record. And a week after the record was released, I get a call from Frank Sinatra. Alan, I'm not following that broad. Took him 10 years before he recorded that song.
But he did it.
But he did.
Well,
but I'm not following that.
I heard a story that Sting was walking down the street in New York, and someone came up to him and he said, "You've got to do that song. What are you doing the rest of your life?" And Sting was taken back about, "What do you mean?" And then he went and listened to the song. He said, "You're right. I have to do that song." And he did a beautiful job of it. And with Chris Bodie, the trumpet player, they do a great version of it. Yeah, I mean, that song has been done by so many people. But I mean, what an amazing song. And it served the movie in just the way that you described, and it is a song that is just timeless.
But I'll tell you something about that song. Melodically, we gave the first line, "What are you doing the rest of your life?" to Michelle. He said, "I love that." And however long it takes to play that song, that's how long it took him to write it.
He wrote it right there, on the spot.
Never stopped.
Now,
never stopped.
I want to talk some more about working with Michelle. Did he customarily give you different melodies for you to kind of decide when you were picking up a
Not
project?
different. Sometimes 2 or 3, yeah. But Michelle was very malleable. He came to us one day and he said, "You got to write this movie." And he came and he played us ba 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 ba, a march. And we said to him, play that same melody as the Saloon song. He says, he had only been in this country 2 or 3 years. What's a Saloon song? I said, think of Frank Sinatra, the pork pie hat and smoking.
Kind of like One for the Road. Yeah.
And he said, and he played ba ba na, ba ba na. I said, yeah.
That's it.
And we wrote Summer Me, Winter Me.
Oh my God, what a gorgeous song. How do you keep the music playing? I mean, that has got to be one of the greatest songs I've ever heard in my life. I was going to have you read the lyrics of that. Maybe I'll have you read a lyric of something else. But tell me about that song and what your memories are, because that's got to be one of my favorite songs. Tony Bennett has done a great version with Aretha Franklin, also George Michael.
Frank
Celine
Sinatra.
Dion. I mean, all the singers.
Well, Sinatra. He went to see the movie. It was written for a movie called Best Friends.
Yeah, with Goldie Hawn.
Huh?
With Goldie.
Goldie Hawn and Burt
Reynolds.
Yeah.
And
they were writers together.
Yeah.
And they were afraid to get married, that it would spoil whatever electricity they had. But they finally convinced, I forget who, to get married. And they get married, and they go to New York to visit their mothers and fathers, the in-laws. By the time they're through in New York, they're in a lot of the romance is in a lot of trouble. And so they're on a people mover in the airport going back home. And they're not together. They're apart on this movie thing. And Norman Jewison, a wonderful director, who says, wanted a song about how do you sustain. So we wrote how to keep the music playing, how do you make it last, how do you keep the song from fading too fast. It's funny, when we finished the song, Quincy Jones came over to the house for dinner, and he saw on the piano how to keep the music playing. He said, "What's that?" I said, "We just finished this for a movie for Norman, because we had written In the Heat of the Night for Norman."
Yeah, you had.
With
Quincy.
With Quincy. And I said, Norman wants this song. And so he said, let me hear it. So I sang, maybe I got through 8 bars. I don't think so. How do you keep the music playing? He said, that's mine. Quincy said, takes it off the piano, that's mine. And he produced the record for the movie.
It's a great record with James Ingram and Patty Austin.
James Ingram and Patty Austin. Now, a guy who did very well is playing piano on that.
Is it David Foster?
David Foster.
Yeah.
That intro, that's him.
Oh, that's a great intro.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's very gifted. Frank Sinatra saw the movie before it was released. And he got out of the screening room, called Tony Bennett. He said, I don't have a date coming up, but you better go in and record. I just heard the best song I heard in years. And Tony Bennett went in and recorded it and closed every show since then, whenever that was. He would close every show that he did with that song.
I mean, it's hard for me to pick a favorite of yours, but of course, always Yellowbird. But it's hard for me to pick a favorite. But that's got to be one of right up there of these songs. Did you have several melodies to choose from on that, or did Michelle just give you one particular one, or do you remember?
No, I think that was one where we said, what happens if the first line is how do you keep the music playing? Mm-hmm. And Michelle said, oh, I like that. And then he wrote.
Then he went for it.
Yeah.
You know what it sounds like to me? These were great dinner parties because you had the song sitting on the piano, and here's Barbra Streisand. Like people were like fighting to get these songs.
Marilyn was, in addition to being a great writer, was a great cook.
Was she?
Fantastic.
Well, I tell you what, having those songs sitting on the piano, did you?
Well, we had just finished them, you know.
Oh, I love that story. It's not how long we held each other's hands. What matters is how well we loved each other. I mean, these words, it's not how far we traveled on our way, but what we found to say.
It's not the springs we've seen, but all the shades of green.
It's not how long I held you in my arms. What matters is how sweet the years together.
Yeah.
Oh, these words. How
many summertimes we had to give to fall. The early morning
smiles. We
wistfully recall. What matters most is that we loved it all.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I mean, who writes words like that? Only you and Marilyn. I tell you, that is another one of my favorite. But you had a huge success with Might Be You. Did Sidney Pollack, who you worked with on a couple of occasions, did he come to you and say he wanted a song with Dave?
No, here's what happened. Dave wrote the score to that movie.
To Tootsie, right?
To Tootsie. And there was a rock and roll group going to write the song for that movie.
Yeah.
And which was to be recorded, this was a Friday, which was to be recorded on the Tuesday, following Tuesday. And Dave had an inclination that these guys weren't going to come up with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said to Sidney, we better get Alan and Marilyn. And Sidney said, absolutely. So Dave called on a Friday. Said, we'd like you, Sidney and I would like you to do this movie. I got the melody, and he came over and played it for us and recorded it. And we wrote it on Saturday and Sunday, and they recorded it on Tuesday. It Might Be You.
Did you go to the session?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Friday afternoon, Sidney showed us the movie. I mean, we wouldn't have written it without looking at the movie.
And that became like a huge, huge hit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Dave Grusin, he's fabulous.
So, describe the difference, let's say, working with some of these people, Dave and of course Marvin Hamlisch and Michelle. I guess they all have their own ways of working with you, but is it generally the melody? You've told me you like to have the melody.
99% of the time.
It's the melody first.
Yeah.
That's what you said when you and I write together. You said, I think it's best if you can give me a melody first.
Yeah. Well, that song that we wrote for the Lullaby album, which incidentally, Tierney thinks she has somebody to put up the money.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is that we've, When the Moon is on Our Side, we wrote this song together, and Tierney Sutton did the demo.
Yeah.
She did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
But I gave you the melody first on that.
Absolutely.
And, God, that'd be great if she's got someone that's interested in doing it.
Yeah.
Is she going to sing all the songs in it?
I may sing one, I don't know.
Let's talk about you singing. Let's talk about you singing. And let's talk about Tierney. I was fortunate enough to get to hear you about a month ago down at Catalina Bar and Grill, and you beat up the room. You did a wonderful job with Tierney, and you're still singing great.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, I think that it may be Marvin Hamlisch said that you have a little bit of that Sinatra quality. I think he said that when he's commenting about your Lyrically album.
Oh.
Yeah. You were great up there. How did it feel? How long had you sung in front of a crowd since COVID hit?
No.
How did it feel to be up there?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I like it. You get on the stool and, you've got all the emotion that you bring to these lyrics of these wonderful songs. You're the ultimate performer. I hope we're going to be seeing you doing that some more.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's talk about Marvin Hamlisch for a second.
Wonderful.
And let's talk about The Way We Were, which was another Sidney Pollack directorial. Now I've heard differing things. Was there a chance that song, even as wonderful as it was, might not make it into the movie, or was it always going to be?
No, they weren't sure that Barbra should sing in the movie. Sidney or Ray Stark, the producer.
Yeah.
They weren't sure. But then they decided correctly, I think. This song had a function. When, you know, the picture opens and they're in a bar, and the Redford character is drunk, sitting in a bar, and she touches his hair and so forth. And then it takes the strains of the song starts, and it takes you back photographically and in memory, takes you back to when they were in college together. So that's what it was, a messenger, taking you back. And what Marvin did, insisted on, and he rescored the end of the movie, is to have a reprise of that after they meet by accident in front of the hotel, the Astor Hotel. And then they separate and you hear the song again.
I know. And there's not a dry eye in the house.
Exactly.
Not a dry eye in the house.
Exactly.
Now, did you write more than one song for that and then choose between the two?
Well, here's what we did. We finished the song, and the song that everybody knows, Ray Stark and Sidney and Barbra and Barbara's manager, they all loved the song. And her manager said it's going to be the #1 song on July 20, whatever. He had figured out when the picture was going to be released. It wasn't a thing. Yeah. Mal and I looked at each other. Yeah. Anyway, on the way out, we said to Marvin, they were still shooting the picture. So they had 2 or 3 months before they were going to record. We said, we got time, we could write 4 or 5 different songs called The Way We Were. Marvin said, what, are you crazy? They love this song. I said, yeah, but we don't write for them. I said, let's write another couple of songs. We could write a tango, we could write a waltz, a lot of things we could write. And we got another melody out of it. And we wrote a whole other song. Nobody asked us. We just did it. And then we played it for Barbra and Sidney, and they loved it, the second song. So I said, the only way we're going to find out is if we lay both songs against the images. Because what happens is you got the image, the music, the lyric, there's a fourth entity that happens from those 3. And we did it. And the second song we wrote laid there, nothing happened with the images, nothing. It just didn't work. It's a pretty song. Yeah, Barbra loved it, she recorded it. It's called The Way We Weren't, and it's on one of her albums. If you want to hear it, you could hear it.
Okay. Let's talk about Barbra Streisand for a second. How many songs has she done of yours?
Somewhere around 65 or 60.
65.
Or more, somewhere.
Do you know how much anyone would give to just have one recording? We're talking about 65.
Yeah,
how did this romance start between the 3 of you?
We heard her when she was, I guess, just not quite 20 years old in a club in the Village in New York.
Mm-hmm.
There's an album out now of hers called, with all the songs that she sang. When she was
at
that place, yeah. And we heard her there she sang 8 bars and Marilyn started to weep. And she's been weeping ever since.
Yeah.
Barbra, you know, in addition to have a great voice, and she's got it in all 3 places, in the heart, in the mind, you know, and in the pipes. She also is, being a wonderful director, there's an actress, there's a 4th dimension that she brings to a song that nobody else does. And it's, you know, it's about the song, not about her. There's so many singers out there today that you hear. It's about them. I'm not interested in them.
I know you've talked to me about that before.
I'm not interested. I'm interested in what the song is saying. The difference.
So Barbra Streisand, what was the first song that she did of?
Ask Yourself Why.
Uh-huh.
That was the first one.
And how did that record come about?
She did Barbara's first 2 or 3 albums. I don't remember. I think 3 albums were all great standards written by the great Jerome Kern, Cole Porter,
and Johnny Mercer,
people, you know. And then she decided to, the 4th, I think it was the 4th, to be young people, new. And we were one of those chosen. A song called Ask Yourself Why. Yeah.
Then everything else just started flowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wanted to present as many of your songs as she could to the world, you know.
Well, and then we wrote 2 or 3 television shows of hers. We wrote the script and so forth.
That's right. I remember reading about it.
Yeah.
She decided that she wanted you to do that.
Yeah. 3 of those. And we did things together, raising money for various needed political things.
Mm-hmm.
And we 3 of us did it together. She's a wonderful woman.
Now, I wanted to ask you about one of the songs back when we were talking about Michelle on Windmills of Your Mind. Let's just talk a little bit about how that one came about, and I know that's one of your most successful songs.
Well, the director, Norman Jewison, wonderful director, who he said he wanted a song to underline the anxiety that the character was feeling at the time. Now, in the scene in the movie, Steve McQueen is flying a glider, and he's very, very anxious. He had just masterminded the robbery of a bank. He didn't participate, he planned it. And now he's very wealthy guy, and he's very anxious flying this glider because he didn't know what to do with the money. And so he wanted us to underline the anxiety. And anxiety, you know, is a circular emotion. You know, when you go to sleep and you get in the bed and you can't turn it off. It keeps you awake.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, that's anxiety. And we wrote down all anxiety being a circular image. We wrote down before we even started to write the song, all the circular images we could think of. And that's why you hear around like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending on an ever-spinning wheel. You hear all those, because that's got to do with anxiety.
And you were writing down all those things
Before
as
we
preparation.
even wrote. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, certainly that has become, not only one of the great movie songs, but that movie moment, which you sang. I'm involved with the Arboretum. I was president of the board out there, and we were out there, and you sang the Windmills of Your Mind to the picture out there at the Arboretum.
Oh,
You do a great job of that song. Yeah, that was about 7 years ago, I think. What a great one. We were talking about a couple of other wonderful writers. You and John Williams had a chance. Besides
he's
the
a
Frank
wonderful
Sinatra.
writer.
His gift for melody is amazing, and I think that's one thing that's helped make him as successful as he.
Yeah, he doesn't even like writing songs, but he's written some wonderful songs. He wrote a couple of songs with Johnny Mercer. We've written about 9 or 10 songs together.
Oh, I'll have to hear
the
that.
last one was called Moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful song. And another wonderful writer is Johnny Mandel.
Good friend of mine when he was on the board of the ASCAP with me.
What a melodic gift he had.
I love that Christmas song that you wrote, the Manhattan Transfer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's one of our staples of listening to in December. That's a great song.
Yeah. No, Johnny was wonderful. But he would come, like Dave, sometimes Dave Grusin would come, said, I have this melody. And he would play this melody and we'd say, leave it. You got to write that,
Is that the way it happens with Where Do You Start? That's one of the
That's Mandel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What a wonderful person he was. He was one of my true friends on the ASCAP board. But,
oh, yeah. Wonderful arranger. Oh. Besides being a great tune writer, he was a great orchestrator.
He's arranged probably, countless number of your songs for people.
Yeah.
Probably for Barbra Streisand, some of those arrangements.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
You do a great version of Where Do You Start? I've heard you sing that before.
Yeah. Well, certain melodies sing.
Yeah.
They really, you don't have to do much. They're there.
I did want to touch on, since my career has been, writing music for television shows, and, one of the things that you may not realize is that you and I were both up for an Emmy against each other in 1991, and you won. It was a song you wrote for the AFI 100 Years with Marvin. I had written the song that Kenny Rogers sang for Home Improvement, and we were up. But when I saw that I was up against you and Marvin Hamlisch, I said, you know what, I don't have a chance. But let's talk about television. You've written a couple of very, very big themes with Dave Grusin.
Oh, yeah. Maud.
Yeah.
And Good Times.
Yeah. So how would you describe the difference between writing a song for a movie and a theme song, for an example?
Well, first of all, a theme song is really only, 45 seconds long.
Right.
And then I think it's, we always finished, we always made a song out of it.
Even though it was only 45 or a minute.
Yeah, we would
Do a whole song.
yeah. And we had wonderful, I mean, Maud was a perfect subject matter for a song. And it was Dave's idea that it should be a rhythm kind of song.
Yeah.
That was his idea to do it that way. Let me see. Good Times. Well, you know who made the demo on Good Times was Quincy.
Really? He did that, and Jim Gilstrap didn't sing that, did he? Because I know he's sung.
No, he sung something of ours. Yeah.
He always asked to be for me to say hi to you when I talk. He's a good friend of mine. You know, with theme songs, what I found is, you know, back when I did the theme song that is now being used. At first it wasn't, but now it's being used for Tom Hanks' first show. It's called Bosom Buddies, and they gave me and Howard Pearl the luxury of having 2 minutes and 20 seconds for the theme song, which is a long time. But for the most part,
who was Howard Pearl?
Howard Pearl is the composer that I worked with for a number of years, and the producer of the show, Chris Thompson, wrote the lyrics for it, and Stephanie Mills sang it. But most of the songs I've had to write as theme songs are, as you say, 45 seconds. I even did one that's 5 seconds long, if you can believe it. You know, because they said, let's not, take up too much space with the theme song. Let's just make it 5 seconds. But what they don't realize is songs like Maud and Good Times, someone's in the kitchen cooking, then they hear that song coming in, I got to get in and watch that show. But what I always tried to do is write, even though it was 45 seconds or a minute, trying to write something that was a complete thought, almost a complete song, but somehow, bonsai'd into a short period of time. And that, I wanted it still to be a big experience, even if it's only 45 seconds long. But, in the heat of the night, you did, that's another one.
No, but in the heat of the night, that's from the movie.
Oh, that's from the movie.
Oh, yeah.
How'd that come about? Did Quincy say, come on, I got something?
Quincy lived up the street from us. He bought a house from John Raitt. You know who?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
The great singer.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in Oklahoma? I forget. He did a lot of Broadway.
Carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he lived up the street. And one day he knocked on the door and he said, I'm doing a movie for Norman Jewison called In the Heat of the Night. Ray Charles is going to sing a song. Would you write it with me? We said, absolutely. And we did.
And the rest is history. It's been such an honor to write with you. And, we're writing this song called Leftover Love. And
Leftover Love,
yeah,
and a broken heart.
Yeah, and you give me a lyric and it says, the love is warm and ready to share, while the heart may need some loving repair. But before that, you have the love is there and ready to share, but the heart may need some some attending to. So how do you decide, okay, the next day, I don't know, I'm going to send Dan a different line.
It needs a rhyme.
Oh, was it because of the rhyme?
It needed a rhyme. And I'm not sure the repair is ready. It could be, but the heart may need some care.
Some care.
Maybe. That may be better than repair. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Man, you're still right. You're still right.
It has to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to sing.
That's what it's about.
And you've taught me a lot about songwriting, just working with you on a few songs. It's great. And we're going to get this one done. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's getting there.
It's getting there. Absolutely.
I can't thank you enough for, like, our society being so much a better place because of the wonderful contributions you've made through your life. And that should make you feel very proud.
Oh, thank you.
And I look forward to us finishing this song.
Absolutely.
All right.
We will.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
My
friend.
pleasure.
All right.